Well, let me take these off so there's no glare. Yeah, it's the afternoon. Thought I'd vlog today. I just want to keep up with like vlogging and documenting or whatever, so I have something to do while I sit here with my anxiety. So today we're going to talk about anxiety and PTSD and night terrors, and hang out and whatnot and see what's going on in the YouTube world. Which what's trending right now is that submersible that is missing right now, the Titanic submersible. I've been following a bunch of people on YouTube. I like to watch agenda-free TV on YouTube. It's a pretty good YouTube channel. It's no political crap, which is, I'm sorry, I grew up with a family member I don't talk to anymore who was obsessed with Fox News, which, I'm sorry if you like Fox News. I hate Fox News, okay? If you like Fox News, this is not the channel for you, okay? Fox News is literally triggering for me. It's on in the room and I have to walk out. There's no way I can't do it, but yeah. Anyways, so PTSD and night terrors and stuff. So I shared a little bit about my night terrors last, my last video, and yeah, so still having them, still not good. Sometimes my night terrors, like the other night, I had a dream about my cat Philip, and apparently I was yelling like, you MFer, I'm gonna get you if you better not mess with my cat, which was kind of funny. But a lot of the times when I'm talking, I'm angry at somebody in my night terrors. Or I used to have dreams about being followed or having to get in a car and driving away from somebody, which is probably having to do with the PI, but sometimes they don't like link up at all, what I'm saying and versus what I'm dreaming. So it's weird. So I've been having a lot of anxiety the last couple days. I have anxiety and it's not related to anything. It doesn't mean there's anything bad going on. I have anxiety because it's just programmed into me, and what was explained to me from my therapist is because I've had so much trauma, it kind of conditions your brain to just be on all the time because you were waiting for a threat. You are constantly, it's like you get conditioned to, you're constantly waiting for that threat. It's like an evolutionary like mechanism in our brain, you know, that once you experience something, your brain's like, okay, now I know I need to look out for this. And if you experience enough bad things, your brain almost gets conditioned to just be on all the time. And you can do a lot of therapy and talk therapy, which is I have, but at a certain point, it's just the chemicals in your brain, the way your brain is, it just has been rewired to be freaked out and on alert all the time. So like sometimes I'm sitting here and I have this anxious feeling in my chest, like yesterday and today, and it's not because anything is happening. Everything's been pretty good. Yeah, I've been watching this submarine thing, but things like that don't give me anxiety. I actually tend to like rescue stuff, or seeing about like how they did rescue missions and things like that, or extracted people out of situations, because I used to be an EMT and I was trained on a lot of like FEMA stuff and things like that. So I really like seeing how paramedics, medical people, rescue, how they'll just fall into their procedural, they call it procedural memory, and they will teach you, like when you're in like emergency type situations, whether you're a cop, a firefighter, a medical personnel, you will be trained in a certain way, like the steps. Like I remember in the book they'd have charts and it would just show a flow chart, and it's analytical on like if this is going on, you go here. If this is going on, you go here. If you have this many people, it becomes a triage situation. if these people have this, this, and this, they go here. And it just lays it out in a way where you can just fall back on your training. And I've always just been amazed at like how in these high stress situations, how if you're taught correctly, you can just fall back on your training. And a way where you get through it and you're like, wow, I don't know how I did that. There's a lot of times where in trauma, where people will say things like, I was here and then I got in to safety or whatever, but I don't know how I got to safety from point A to point B, because there's like a loss, because your brain will go into that survival mode, that procedural memory, and sometimes people will block it out because your brain is doing what it needs to do to survive. It's very interesting. Our brain is very complex, and it does a lot of things to rewire itself for survival. And, you know, in today's society, you know, where we aren't living like we were millions of years ago, you don't necessarily need some of those mechanisms anymore. So, like, some of those things that happen can be a nuisance, like me sitting here with anxiety. So, yeah, I've been drawing. I'm going to show you what I've been working on. Working on my art has been really, really great for the anxiety, though, and my PTSD, because a lot of times I love just sinking into my art world. So, I'm going to show you what I've been working on my iPad for new shirts, because, yeah. I hope you guys liked me documenting some of the stuff about building my brand. A lot of these videos are for myself because nobody really watches them. Because a lot of times it is really fun for me to look back on certain things and look how far I've come, since sometimes I feel like I haven't done anything with my life. So having these documentations to look back and go, look where I was like 5 years ago versus today. Or look at when I made my charm. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. I made my charm and I'm like, look how far I've come. So I'm going to show you. Oh, I almost flipped the camera over and it did. I'm going to show you my art. Okay, this is what I'm working on here. Can you guess what that is? It is a glass of whiskey with ice cubes. So I'm making a shirt. Me and Patrick were talking about this idea. I've seen where people say soup of the day tequila. And I've seen a bunch of different memes of that or whatever on Pinterest. And I thought it would be cute to do soup of the day whiskey with ice croutons. I've seen where they say H2O croutons, which could be funny. I don't know. But I just thought, I was thinking of maybe putting it on like a, you know how you go to a restaurant and it says soup of the day or whatever. Well, I was thinking of doing it like on something like that. These are my inspo pictures, but I was thinking of doing something like that, but I'm not sure. So, okay, next stuff. So that's what one of the things I'm working on. Okay, here I am reworking the lazy bum shirt. Oh, focus. So I did it in a couple different, this was yellow I did. And then somehow, like, sometimes, you know, in the programs you're moving shit around, it gets all fucked up. But anyways, okay. So I did it in pink, hot pink, the lazy bum. Let me zoom in here. And I thought this would be really cute on like a neutral color, like a tan, or maybe like a brown, or like a gray. Black, definitely, but I thought, oh, this is cute, you know, making it a color. But I thickened up the lines a lot so that I shouldn't have the printing problems that I was having. Can you see? I thickened the lines up on a bouquet and on the couch and all that. I was playing around. I'm going to show you this. And I took where I took the yellow. I took where I took the yellow, like a greenish yellow, and I did the pink, and I kind of had it off kilter behind the black like lettering outline. And so I think that's kind of cool. I'm not sure what colors I would stick this on. I almost think I might save this design and do it in a like a sweater. Can you see that? I think this would be cool as kind of like a sweater maybe. Oops. Yeah, that's my favorite thing about doing art on the computer is doing that undo button. But yeah, lazy bum. I thought that would be really cute. And then I have it in black too. Wait, let's see. I have it in black too. It'll focus, but yeah, I have it in black too. That's a white one I was doing, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I have it in black too. So, I mean, I can put it on like some other colors as well, but I just thought the pink was fun. I think the pink is kind of fun, and then this would be cool for maybe like a sweater or something, maybe like a tan sweater, a brown sweater or something, but yeah. So that is that one. Is there anything else I've been working on? Oh, okay. This is kind of like my idea of the kind of people I am targeting for my brand. So my brand is basically anybody who isn't afraid to say fuck you when necessary. So I did this one. I'm going to put this on a couple different colors, but this is in my don't give a fuck era. Yeah. So that's the kind of era I kind of feel like I'm moving into, is like, I don't really care what people think. And you really shouldn't. As you get older, you start to realize that it really doesn't matter what people think. It's really about you. And really, like, at the end of your life, let's say you're on your unalive bed, as YouTube would like me to call it. When you look back on certain situations, are you going to regret it or not? And if you kind of start to look at your life from that kind of point of view, as if I was on my unalive bed and I was to think about this situation, would I have wished I did it or didn't? Or would it matter or not matter? And it just opens your eyes up to a lot in the world and gives you a different perspective. And you start not caring about things that you used to care about and caring about things you never thought about before. And it's a really weird way of thinking. You might not be following me right now, but if you get it, you get it. So anyways, this is in my don't give a fuck era. Because I feel like a lot of people, too, are moving into this era. A lot of people woke up during the pandemic. And so yeah. I love the way the hair came out on this. I spent a lot of time on this, but, like, I love the way the hair came out on this. And, yeah, I have her flipping off the camera. And we are in our don't give a fuck era. So, yeah, I'm trying to just target my brand towards anybody who isn't afraid to say fuck you, you know? People who are in their don't give a fuck era. You know, people who want to wear fun shit and, you know, live their best life and say fuck you to the people when necessary. And they're fighters. They're fighters. And they've been through shit. Because a lot of us have been through shit. Especially, you know, the pandemic. Let me put you on the thing. Okay. But yeah, I'm going into my thing. But, you know, the pandemic fucked a lot of people up. A lot more than people realize. I don't think a lot of people realize they have PTSD. And focus on me. Sorry, the camera, I think, was out of focus. I can't really tell because I don't have my glasses on. But a lot of people don't realize that they have PTSD from the pandemic. Because what happened during the pandemic was crazy. That 1 week when everything just shut down, that was a traumatic situation for a lot of people. It wasn't for me because it was something I had been through before. When I got hurt, and I haven't talked about this, but when I got hurt sorry, my phone lit up and I'm like, what? Anyways, sorry. So when I got hurt, around the same time I got hurt, my mom was laid off. I got hurt and injured. we had to move out of our house that the place we were living, and we had lived there for a long time. I was out of school. I couldn't go to nursing school anymore, so I dropped out. So the social circle I had at the time was all my nursing friends, and they all moved on with their lives, you know, like nursing is kind of like a culture. It's its own little thing, and if you're not a nurse, you're not a part of the club. It's kind of sad, but it's true. So all my friends moved on with their lives that were nurses, right? I don't talk to any of those people anymore. So that happened. I had a family member cut me off because they said this was just too much for them to deal with and they shouldn't have to. I moved several times. I was homeless for a period of time. It wasn't very long, and I don't really look at it as really being homeless, even though I really technically was. I had to sleep in a McDonald's, but I got through all that, and I'm stronger for it. And anyways, back to the thing. That was just it was abrupt change for me. Hold on, I gotta go do the Petermon thing. Sorry about that. Anyways, it was a very abrupt change for me in my life. And when you go from one day to the next, where literally everything changes, it's very traumatic. And that's what kind of happened during the pandemic. One day, everybody was able to go out, see their friends, their social circle, do things they used to, and then they suddenly couldn't. And it was medical related too. Like, that was another thing, is I suddenly wasn't able to be as active as I was. I wasn't able to leave the house. I stayed home a lot. And then I started getting sick because I started having side effects from one of the meds I was on for my back, which is a whole nother thing. But I was, you know, I had a medical problem, and everything just changed. And I look back on my life and I tell myself that wasn't as bad as other people's situations, Keisha. What happened to you isn't the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of people who go through worse things. You know, like, there are people who are refugees, you know, and lose their families and become orphans and stuff. And I'm like, I slipped and fell and had to move. I was homeless in America for maybe like a minute. And, yeah, I have these medical problems, but at least I have good health care, you know. You know, I can get the medical care I need, and I have you know, I had Patrick at the time. He moved in to help out me and my mom. We all ended up living together around that time, and we've been together ever since as a family. And I had him and my mom, and I felt so grateful for that. And even though I felt so grateful that I was able to find resources and help, it still traumatized me. Like, during the pandemic, a lot of people say, well, I was lucky enough I could work from home, or I was lucky enough that it wasn't so bad for me, right? But still, those, like, having to go through something like that, whether you think it's bad or not bad compared to other people's situations, it still affects you. So, like me, I have PTSD. I sometimes feel weird and guilty for that, because most of the people who have PTSD I know of are soldiers who have been in a war and seen their friends, you know, like, horrible things happen to people that were friends and partners and allies. And I'm just like, I had a company follow me around. I had a bunch of medical procedures that didn't always go well. I was awake for a colonoscopy, just so you know. Yeah, that was not a good experience. That was traumatizing too. So, like, I look back on all these things and it's like, why do I have PTSD? Why do I have to have PTSD from this? Why do I have to have anxiety from all this? So bad where it affects me on a daily basis, where it's crippled my life. And we don't know why. Our brain just gets triggered by these things. Sometimes, and here's another thing, and I hate when I see people try to do this, You see it on social media a lot, especially when people talk about manifesting and the law of attraction, which I hate the law of attraction. It is dumb to me. Honestly, all that is make a goal, make a plan of action, work towards that goal. Keep yourself motivated. That's all manifesting is. That is all it is. It's not magic. All it is planning a goal, making a plan of action, breaking down the steps to the goal. There's a lot of things you could do in life, but it's just about planning out the steps to get there, and if you're patient enough and willing to put in the persistence and the work to get to that goal. But manifestation law of attraction is really triggering for me, especially someone with a lot of medical conditions and stuff, because what that says is because you aren't a positive person, all these bad things happen to you. This is, and it's ableism. It's a way of saying this is your fault that you have all these medical conditions. It is your fault that you have PTSD, and you're just not letting go of stuff. I hate when people tell me my chronic pain is related to my trauma. It's not. I have nerve damage. It has been documented. I have nerve damage. I have sciatic nerve damage from falling on the floor. Science and medical has not caught up yet to fix that. So quit gaslighting me and other people with chronic pain and say it's because of some emotional thing you haven't let go of. It's bullshit, and it's really fucked up. Doctors are writing books on that subject about how chronic pain is just your emotional trauma not being released. I'm sorry, I have nerve damage. Nerve damage in a joint that is really hard to take an ablation machine and go into and ablate the nerves that are fucked up. You can only do a little bit like that at a time, and because my whole joint is messed up, they can't do it enough, so it's not even worth it to try. But a lot of people want to tell me it's just emotional trauma that I need to release. No. My therapist has said, you know, your brain is just wired this way for the anxiety and the PTSD, and you need to be on a medication to help out with that, because your brain has been fucked up from the trauma you've had. So manifesting, right? Law of attraction. So it says that these bad things you've attracted to yourself, right? No. Sometimes bad shit just happens to people. Sometimes bad things just happen and there's no one to blame. There's no reason why. It's just something that happened. Like my pituitary tumor. You could say, well, maybe the stress of my back, or maybe the stress or the trauma, you know, created this condition where I grew a tumor on my pituitary. That's a lot of woo-woo. Really what it is, it's a crapshoot. Just a genetic crapshoot. I just ended up unlucky with the tumor. That's it. That's all it was. Just like my accident. It doesn't mean I was meant to be on a different path. It doesn't mean I wasn't meant to be a nurse. It doesn't mean something was meant to be or not meant to be. It was just something shitty and unlucky that happened to me. And it doesn't mean anything more than that. But a lot of people want to take sometimes these traumas and things and assign a lot more to it. Or an injury and assign a lot more to it. And it almost makes it the person's fault. Or the person who has it. And you get a lot of people like me who will go around a lot of years feeling guilty because they don't know what they did wrong to deserve what happened to them. I remember when I first got hurt, I would have some people tell me, well, you know, maybe this is happening to you for a reason. No, people don't suffer for a reason. Sometimes it's just shit luck. It's just something bad that happened. And for me, it has been so much easier to accept and let go of things when I just know it's something bad that happened to me and it doesn't mean anything more. I just got unlucky. Yeah, manifesting, can't stand that shit, because then you're saying that all these people deserve what's happening to them. And a lot of the manifesting is just bullshit. There's a lot of influencers do this. A lot of younger influencers who are in their early 20s will think that because they've gotten successful at a young age in their 20s, because, you know, they made it big on social media, because they're making these big checks, that means they've manifested something, when really they got lucky. Just like how I got unlucky, some people just get lucky in their early 20s and have some shit work out, which you see these people later on, when something does bad happen to them, really go crazy, because they're not used to having this thing happen to them. It's almost like sometimes I look back and I'm like, well, I'm glad if I can look back on the trauma I've been through, I can at least say it gave me the wisdom I have today. And that is what I call alchemy. Like, I've talked about this in my other things, alchemy, and to me, I like to look at these bad situations I've been through and look at the wisdom and the things I've learned from them, and how maybe it's molded me into a wiser person I am today. And it makes you appreciate too how old you are. And, you know, like, and you look back, and when you look at life like that, you almost look back and you're glad you're not younger. Because you see all the benefits you get as you age. A lot of people want to look at how it sucks to get older because of your body and all that. But you gain a lot of wisdom, you have a lot more time, and you've learned a lot more. And I've seen a lot of these people who were influencers who made it big in their early 20s, and they think they know everything, and they think they know business, and they think they know YouTube, which they don't. They all don't know about YouTube 8M. Go watch that video. It's in my posted section on my channel, but go watch that, the YouTube 8M. A lot of them don't even fucking know about that and think, oh yeah, I just had a lot of great video ideas. When someone at YouTube stuck all their videos into a data set that they can put into the YouTube algorithm, and so now they're recognized better and shoved out into the algorithm a lot easier, and therefore that's why they're monetized. Yeah, fun fact of the day, since we're all on YouTube, your YouTube fun fact of the day, less than 3% of the platform is monetized. Of all the people who are on YouTube uploading, including me, only 3% out of everybody on YouTube in the entire world, everybody, every user, only 3% of them are monetized. That sounds like the 1%, right? Right? So when people want to try to sell you, like how you could be a YouTuber and how you just need a niche down and all this stuff and you can make money, it's not that easy. Less than 3% of the platform is monetized. But I think that's going to change now that Susan's gone and she's not favoring YouTubers anymore. And that new CEO, he's a business dude. He used to do the marketing for like Google Cloud and stuff. So, it's going to be all about the people buying into the cloud. Now that the former marketing dude for Google Cloud is now running YouTube. And he ain't going to be putting himself out like Susan did. He's not buddying up to YouTubers, okay? You're not going to see him hanging out and being questioned by gamers and stuff. He's not going to put up with that crap. He's about making that coin. It's a new day on YouTube, you guys. Yeah, and we'll be talking about that more, yeah. So I got a lot of talking in this part and everything. I'm going to go back to working on my art. I was glad I got to show you guys that. And it was kind of nice being able to talk. I'm going to start doing more of this just because I'm tired of being alone. And I've tried making some IRL friends, but they all end up just being too busy or self-absorbed into their life, or a lot of people, I feel like too, and this is probably just me, I just feel like a lot of people don't want to be friends with me because of my mental health issues. It's almost like people don't want to be friends with someone like me because, have you heard that quote? If you stand next to a trash can too long, you become garbage too, like the trash can. I feel like it's like that. People look at me and go, I don't ever want to be like Keisha, who's at home all the time and has all these issues and whatnot. And that's why no one hangs out with me. But that, like I said, that's probably just my own thing. Like I said, it's hard in your 30s to have friends. A lot of people have families, jobs, careers, and my life's not like that. It's different. So yeah, thanks for listening, whoever you are.
Doing whatever he could to make this thing happen, to get this thing afloat. Pun intended, not intended. Okay, high key, low key. All right. But it is a very sad situation. You have 5 people who did not need to lose their lives over the past few days. And it sounds like they went down an hour and 45 minutes in, and then it just went like that, just like that. So that's why they lost comms. That's why they lost communication. The other part I want to say is, within the briefing, somebody said, so what's up with the banging then? What's up with the banging down?
Yeah, you guys.
Well,
down. Oh, let me put you on my tripod. Actually, you know what? I think my tray's high enough right here, so I don't have to fuck around with the tripod. Whoa. Sort of bright. Yeah. I conked out yesterday. Well, I took a nap, and then I woke up and watched the coverage on the submersible, and then I fell back asleep, had night terrors last night. I had to have my mom was waking me up this morning. I feel so bad when I have my night terrors because my mom, when my mom wakes me up, she's like, Keisha, wake up. And I'm like, she's like, this is the 3rd time I've had to wake you up. And I'm like, that usually is what triggers me because that's when I go, well, I'm not doing this on purpose. And then I kind of wake up out of it. And then I kind of sit there groggy for like 5 minutes trying to, I feel like try to snap back into the real world. But yeah, I've been watching the stuff on the submersible, the Titanic submersible, Ocean Gate, whatever. They found debris. One of the ROVs they sent down found debris, so it sounds like they said at the press conference they just had that there was a catastrophic explosion. And so, you know, that means gone. It's really sad. I was watching some of the stuff with Patrick, and Patrick's in business, right? He has his degrees in business, so he knows a lot about shit like this, right? You know, business law. Like, even though he's not an attorney or anything, they make you kind of learn business law so you don't fuck up shit and cost a company money or put a company in jeopardy or liability. It's usually, you know, so you don't get a company sued or legally in trouble with Uncle Sam and shit like that. So one of the things this Ocean Gate had said was that when it took people down in this submersible, he goes, well, they're really researchers. See, we're bringing them on as like crew, and they have jobs, and they're helping us scan the Titanic so that we can like chart how it's degrading over the next few years or some shit. I don't know. And I'm like, dude, that is just a loophole, because apparently it's illegal to go see the Titanic unless you have special permission. And one of the ways you get special permission is for research purposes. So I think Stockton, one of the passengers who died, the company, the investors, whoever who owns OceanGate, came up with the, well, we have this loophole where if we make the tourists who are paying us 250 grand to go on the submersible, if we deem them as researchers, we can legally take them down to tour the Titanic. Like, this 19-year-old and his dad went on Father's Day to see the submersible. And then watching them, like, some of the news stuff about the game controller, what the... I've seen where people say, like, okay, the Army uses stuff like that, and that's great and all, but, like, if you're paying 250 grand, you don't want to be going down there with a fucking Logitech game controller, off-brand game controller from Amazon, which I've seen a lot of gamers on Twitter say it's a piece of shit gaming controller. It's not a good gaming controller. You could have gotten a better gaming controller and asked some gamers, hey, what is one of the better game controllers I can get? Because I'm building a contraption to go underwater, which is scary. It's scary. And here's something a lot of people don't realize is that money talks. And a lot of times, a lot of companies will negate safety measures and red flags because of money. And Patrick, because he's been to school and he's like had to study companies' F-ups and stuff for his doctoral degrees and whatever, he's always telling me about companies and like things they will do. And a lot of there's a lot of really big companies, kind of like Walmart, who would rather not do the right thing and protect customers because it's actually cheaper. If, you know, someone got hurt or whatever, it would be cheaper for us to just go through the lawsuit. We'll make more money breaking the law or getting someone hurt this way versus not doing it and keeping people safe. And one thing I come out about OceanGate was that they were doing a lot of, they were trying to do funding so that they could make another submersible. And I suspect that, you know, they were really, they hadn't had a good year. This was going to be the first expedition because the weather had been shit. So, I mean, it sounds like and Stockton went down in this contraption and was driving it, it sounds like. They were trying to make this happen, and especially for this father and son on Father's Day. I mean, I bet there was a ton of metaphorical pressure on Stockton to get this thing down to the Titanic that day in so many different ways to please these tourists who are here, researchers, tourists, you know, to then, you know, please investors, to get more investors. Some people were saying that this submersible, the Titan, has been down a few times, and with the stress of going underneath the water with all the pressure, it really wears on the vessel. And so you need to be upgrading these things or switching them out every few years, and that's why they were raising this money. Well, shit, why are you still in it if you need to get a new one? I don't know. There's gonna be some major lawsuits. What I was getting at is that a lot of companies don't have your best interests at heart. Most of the time, they don't. They are a business, and it is strictly about the money, especially when it comes to big billion-dollar companies or million-dollar companies or projects that are trying to raise funding and stuff. They will make things look better than they are. And you gotta look for the red flags, because anybody can be deceiving you. Just because somebody is running a company or has like all these degrees or has, as we've seen on YouTube, you know, has millions of subscribers, doesn't mean you should just 100% trust these people. You should not be like, for example, like me, I used to shop at Walmart and I trusted that their building was safe, and I got hurt in it and fucked up my life. Like, I live a nightmare. I am living in a nightmare because I shop there. because of my PTSD. So just, you need to like always be looking out for you. And just because also too, just because you have money doesn't mean people have your best interest at heart. They might be looking to take you for a ride. Like this Stockton might have looked at these people and was like, ching, maybe I can get, Hamish to, want to invest or whatever. And he was trying to make it work. I don't know. It just, I get this feeling like they just didn't have the people's best interest, that the money, and which in business, money a lot of times will become more important than a loss of life. It's just sad to say. It's a real thing. I know a lot of people go, I can't imagine. How could people be that way? Because people are crap and they will justify anything for their survival, their dollar. People will justify crap. I mean, in really horrifying ways. For money and stuff, and we'll justify it away and say it's gonna be okay when it's not. And you need to trust your gut. You need to look for the red flags, and you need to apply that to everything in your situation. I know I've talked about my PTSD and my anxiety, and I feel like one of the positive things that came out of that is I do know how to look for red flags in negative situations. I just need to learn how to turn it off so it's not on all the time. So yeah, I've been yakking a lot and I want to get this edited and whatnot, but yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Say I love you to the people that are around you. Reach out to maybe someone you haven't talked to in a while and tell them that you love them and appreciate them, because you never know what's going to happen, because sometimes everything will change for you. Everything will change in just 1 second, and your life is different and you're moved on to a totally different chapter. It's like night. It's like day has become night. Your world is totally dark now and you don't know what is going on. And that's what the families of the people who are in the submersible are actually experiencing right now, is that sudden night to day change, day to night change, where they had their family members, especially the mother of the 19-year-old and the father that were on there. Her world is totally different now, and that was something I was talking about at the beginning, is how trauma will do that, how things just change overnight. But yeah, just tell people around you you love them, reach out to someone, because you never know what's gonna happen. And life isn't promised to any of us, no matter how much money we have. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, life is finite. We're all the same. In death does not discriminate. Death does not discriminate money, race, gender, age, whatever you've done in your life, karma. It does not care. When it comes for you, it comes for you, and it's your turn. Yeah. Anyways, I love you guys, and I appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.